Ozzy, hello, hello. Please introduce yourself.
Hello. I am Ozzy, also known as Osvaldo, which is my real name, and I joined the real world back in June of 2023.
Okay, back in June of 2023. So, considerably quite new to the real world. How did you find out about it?
Very, all online. It's all obviously through Andrew Tate, number one,
Hmm.
through different forms of podcasts. Originally, I saw Andrew on the YMH podcast because
Hmm.
I watch Your Mom's House,
Yep.
and from there, you hear certain things of what he's saying is like, hey, hold on a second, those clickbaity snippets are not all what he's out to be. So then you go on a deep dive, and then you really start
Hmm.
finding out what it is he's talking about and what it is he's pushing and the values that he's pushing. So he's like, you know what? What's $49 on this the real world? The real world. Or back then it was Hustlers. I guess it was Hustlers
Hmm.
University, what 3.0, 4.0, or something like that. So I said, well, I spent $49 on nonsense. Might as well try spending $49 on something that might be productive. So then I
Hmm.
hopped on. I explored all the campuses. I'm like, get out of town. All of this stuff is so nicely structured, so organized, and especially as somebody who ventured on themselves, you don't have much time to waste going on YouTube, trying to network with other people when you're trying to hustle on your own. So that's how I got on the real world. And I stayed. I
Awesome. Okay.
stayed because it's worthwhile.
All right. And what campuses did you get into when you joined the real world?
So mainly the main campuses I focus on is the business campus, specifically all the sales, public speaking, um, and all the stuff that they would teach normally in a master's program, which is like the business boot camp. And when you can't afford a master's and you really can't afford a bachelor's, you kind of shit out of luck. So excuse the language, but those are the ones that I mainly tackled business. Then from there, I went on to the client. Well, back it used to be freelance, but now it's client acquisition and content creating and AI. So those three are really focusing on honing in. I've been dabbling a little bit on e-commerce because as a business consultant and accountant, I need that because that's now the way the world is going. I need to integrate that in my services that I offer. So being
Hmm.
able to learn all the intricate details and being able to apply it to my current services, all my expertise, the value and that I offer to people increases exponentially. So,
All right.
tackling
Interesting.
maybe three dedicated campuses, and then learn a little bit here and there that you need as on an need to know basis for the other campuses.
All right. Okay. And how did you apply all the skills you learned then? Because what is knowledge when not applied?
Correct. So as I'm learning what I'm learning, I'm implementing it on my own personal social media. Whether that's the AI integration to my little videos to keep them engaging, to get more followers, to get even just to offer as free little add-ons to my friends, like, hey, look what I learned how to do. Here's this little edit. It's like, wow, bro, that's so creative. It's like, yeah, okay, if you only knew that everybody else was just helping me out on the back end. Um, and then especially concrete business stuff that I was able to implement for my client, and he was able to see the difference in how things were operating within his business and his processes and his structure because of the things I learned through the sales course and through the client acquisition. Because now I'm doing a little client acquisition for them as well. I run the books for a meat market and a butcher shop. So I'm going out there reaching out to restaurants, caterers, and being able to offer their services to these restaurants, all directly correlated to the client acquisition and the business course.
So, how different has your average day changed now compared to before you joined the real world?
I have more of a purpose. I have structure, which is what I need, especially as somebody who's a martial artist and trying to pursue fighting. You need structure. You need somebody to tell you, hey, this is the stuff that you have to tackle for the day, and just get out there, follow up, and commit. There's
Mhm.
people like that they say, okay, here's your daily checklist, and if you don't do those daily checklists, it stands to reason you're not going to get the results you need, right? So it just seems like common sense to me. So if my coach says, "Hey, I need you to throw 50 jabs, 50 crosses, and roundhouses," but if you don't do this, you're not going to be able to perfectly execute the combinations. So the real world, because of the philosophy and how people, the background of who the main guy is, I feel like it has that approach. It's very structured. It's like, this is what you got to do to have this perfect jab, or to land this client, to get the money that you want to see. Do it, and if you
Mhm.
don't do it, you're not gonna get the results. So
Right.
that's what I like. It's just like full accountability. Hey, do this. See what I got? Do it. And if you don't do what I do, don't complain that you don't have what I have.
Mhm.
That's what I like. That's the kind of mentality that more people should have, but especially as a fighter, it really just speaks to me.
Right. Okay, you mentioned fighting quite a few times now. What are you involved in for that, and for how long?
I've been training for 24 years, and I started with Shotokan Karate, and from there I did boxing. Since I was 9. Then a couple years after that, I started American kickboxing. In high school, I wrestled in jiu-jitsu, and then since 2016, I started doing Muay Thai, and I just combined it all together, and now I'm pursuing MMA and kickboxing.
Wow. So basically, lifetime of fighting, pretty much.
Lifetime, and it started out of necessity at first. When you grow up in a bad neighborhood and you grow up, light skin like me in a predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhood,
Mhm.
you're gonna stand out. I'm Dominican. I'm full Dominican. My dad's dark, but people don't see that. They just see the Caucasian face, and they see the really friendly demeanor in an area that's not known to have friendly people, and then you're gonna walk around like a target. People are gonna call you soft. People are gonna call you,
Interesting.
the people just want to impose their will on you,
Mhm.
because that's just how nature is. So you have to learn how to defend yourself.
Right.
You can be friendly, but if you don't know how to defend yourself, it means nothing.
Mhm. And it seems like you took a positive route in your life trajectory. Why do you think that was? Was it your mindset? Was it something else?
I don't know if it was my mindset. I've always been smart, and I always like reading, and I always paid attention to the world. I'm like, this stuff that's around me, all this violence, all this ignorance, it's not the end. This can't be the end. There has to be something else out there, because in the Bronx, it's not too far from New York City, Manhattan. So you see wealthy people. You see people are still, hey, good morning, and how are you? Walking around Central Park, having their Starbucks coffee. Is like, what is going on here? They're right down the subway line, and they're having a different life. Why are things like this here?
Mhm.
So you just kind of stick through it and know that, number one, there's God, right? So God is going to handle it all. At the end of the day, God is going to take care of it. That's the one thing that I always kind of, that was my scapegoat. It was always the church, whatever church it was. I didn't care. I just felt like it was safe. Like, well, no one's going to kill me, or no one's going to jump me in front of a church, or in a church, or with a church group. So they start teaching you the word of the Bible, different variations. You have Jehovah's Witness, you have Jewish, Muslim. So I just took it all in, and just picked little bits, good stuff here, and that'll help me overcome the circumstance that I was in.
Mhm.
I grew up with a single mom. She was working all day. I grew up in the 90s in the Bronx. There was a lot of violence, and it's just, you have to do what you got to do to survive.
Mhm.
And I knew innately within me, being negative and being imposing violence on other people is not the way to go. So I just felt like there's a better way. I just got to tough it out, and I got to survive, make it out of here, and then eventually I can do something about it.
Alright. And you made it out.
I made it out. So
Good.
now I just got to elevate it a little
Mhm.
more.
Fair. Okay. Actually, let's continue with that. So you say elevate. What are your plans then for future? Let's say short term, medium term, long term.
So short term, I want to get as many fights as I can. That's the number one, because I used to be 390 pounds. Because of life, because of my mindset, because I broke down. I let the pressures of the world, and I let the narratives of the world consume me, and I just kind of fell into quiet depression and a quiet pit of despair. And the only scapegoat was eating, 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 eating. You can still train, you can still move around, but if you're not burning 8,000 calories and you're consuming that much, you're not gonna do anything. You can kick as high as you want, you can be as fast as you want, but the fat is still accumulating. The calories are still mounting up. So I lost all that weight, and now my immediate goal is I have to make it as a professional. I want to make a good purse, whether it's 50,000, whether it's 25,000. I don't care. I want something above $10,000 for a fight. That's my immediate short term goal.
Mhm.
That's on my fighting side. On the business side, my short term goals are to gain at least 5 clients to do my bookkeeping and consulting for. And in the meantime, as I build my skill, refine the skills that I'm learning in the real world, be able to upsell and offer that under the guise of, bookkeeping, consulting, which everyone needs. Accountants, they need taxes done, they need their books taken care of, and then everything else that I learn here, be able to offer it in, so upsell in, and then be able to grow and expand people's business. So my short-term goals: have more fights, have a good purse through my fight, and then gain at least 5 clients that I know that they're gonna have me as steady clientele, and then be able to commit and offer everything I've learned in the real world and offer it to those 5 clients, and then from there just grow it. Because I also have a community of people, or network of people that are willing to come on board with me, but people just listen. They only respond to action. So I have to take the action and show them that I can do it, and then bring people on with
Mhm.
me.
I love that. Okay. So you have, very solid structure ahead. I'm sure usually, wait, how would I say this? When you go through rough things in life, especially living in rough areas, single mother, it has a lot of effect on you. But overcoming it just makes you stronger than the majority of people. Like, I was gonna give some kind of percentage, but pretty much the majority of people. Now, since you
It's
overcame it,
everybody.
like stress tolerance, now I'm sure, stress tolerance super high. And as Andrew says, in business, your stress tolerance usually correlates to how much income you can get. If you have super high stress tolerance, then there you go. So now it's just a matter of you continuing
Consistency.
on this trajectory,
Yeah.
and at some point, you will get the money that you want for sure. So awesome to
Yeah.
see. And now, in terms of material within the real world, how different is it compared to what you could have found out on the internet?
Everything else is I know I'm not maybe not supposed
You're
to
fine. You're
curse.
fine. You're fine. Don't worry.
It's all bullshit. Everything else is all fuck. It's all bullshit. Like everything else is just kind of, what is it? The Not the quick get rich quick schemes, but it's all, no, snake oil. That's what it is. It's all snake oils. It's all false. It's all false, and it's just all people like, well, I have this little bit of knowledge of this, and I'm going to give them just enough so they can always be coming back for more. Instead of just give them the stuff that they want, give them the stuff that they need, right? Not necessarily they want, what they need to actually affect their lives, and they're gonna come back to you as a consequence. As people are gonna keep coming back for more, and I feel like that's what the real world has done. They've taken concrete income earning revenue streams, have structured in a way that's very palatable from start to end, with clear steps, and it's just organized. And not only that, but they have the people in there who are gonna help you, who are there constantly, like as your little, you know, your shoulder to cry on, or your crutch. I got you. Here's what you missed out on. You're supposed to do this, 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 this. Now go out and do it, and think really hard about what I just told you. Okay, and then if people don't come back without thinking about it, what I like also, they have accountability. They instill people in accountability. Like, you have to figure it out. I'm here to help you, but you figure it out as best as you can. And when I see that you've done everything possible to try to figure it out and you still can't figure it out, I got your back. That's one of the main things I've noticed about the real world, and that's the reason why they've kept me here. Because I also, I don't interact too much in the community, because I have a lot of stuff going on that I have to just be busy doing. But I do hang out there a lot, because I see, like, especially the teenagers, they're reaching out, they're asking, they're actually talking about their own personal lives. So that's all very important. It's all very, very crucial in all life. And the education, the standard education system, they couldn't give a shit. And then other people, they can care less. They just care about their bottom line, their margins, and they don't care if they're giving information and people are confused. And it's like, well, I gave you the information; it's all there. It's like, yeah, but I don't know. It's like, well, figure it out. I'm sorry. Whereas in the real world, they say, I can't figure it out. They tell you figure it out, but if you've done enough trying to figure it out, I got your back. I'll help you.
Hmm. Love that. Okay, is there any more to add on the community aspect of the real world? How much have you interacted with the community?
How much have I interacted?
Yeah, yeah. Just any more to add
Well,
on the community aspect of it?
no, because I interact every day. You know, sometimes a little, some days more than others. You know, there's some days that I actually spend a good time just after I learn my courses, after I implement it in my social media and my websites and all that. I sit down and I just my whole purpose is to help as best as I can. And also because I used to do tutoring and I like teaching, I like coaching. The principle is the same. If you can teach it to somebody, you know it well, and you might end up finding a little thing that you didn't think about, like, oh, you know what? Actually, no, I screwed up. It wasn't like that. This is what you should have done, and then you implement it in yourself, and you try it, and like, yeah, oh, that's the way it. That's the
Mhm.
way it is, and that's what you have in this community. It's people constantly trying stuff,
Mhm.
redoing drafts and drafts and drafts and drafts, and you don't see that anywhere. Even in
Yeah.
school, you don't see that. In schools, kids try the minimum, they submit it, and then teachers like, well, I guess you wrote IDK, you're good. I
Yeah.
have other shit to worry about. I got bills to pay, and I got my my landlord is upset
Mhm.
with me. My mom hates me. Is like, so figure it out. What are you
Mhm.
doing? How are you supposed to help somebody else if you haven't figured your own life out? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's asinine.
Very true. And you're a very good speaker, Ozzy. It's interesting to listen to.
Pre- Appreciate it.
Let's go on to that. Did you purposely practice your speaking over time, or was it just something that came naturally to you?
Well, it might have come naturally when I was younger a little bit, but it's like a skill. You have to try. It's deliberate practice. If you don't deliberately practice something, how are you expecting to get better at it? You're not going to. It's shit's not just gonna. Well, one day I want to be better as it. It's like, okay, well, have you even tried? Have you read a book out loud? I know it's embarrassing and I know it's foolish, but have you even read a book out loud? Because the more you read it, the more you're gonna catch yourself on little mistakes, like little just phonetic things, and like that's what they have speech pathologists for, right? I'm assuming that's the whole point of speech
Mhm.
pathology is because people can't figure out how to speak, or there's people who have disabilities that disable them from being able to speak properly. So they have these experts that, okay, well, you have to move your mouth and push your breath from the lungs, and it's like, no, just do it and catch yourself, and then find out. Look at people who are good at it and who are conveying their message properly. If you're picking up on a message that somebody's relaying to you, chances are they're good at speaking. So let's keep listening to what he's doing,
Mhm.
and maybe he'll give me some tips along the way. And so and or you ask.
Go. Nice.
And also,
Yeah, yeah,
another thing is one of the key things about like a breakdown in society, or arguments or disagree, whatever it is, it all stems from communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal. Most of the misunderstandings all comes from miscommunication, or education levels, whatever, but it's all communication based. So let's say, for instance, I grew up in an area where you can say what's good to somebody, right? What's good, but it means like, you want to fight, what are you looking at? Where anywhere else in the world you say what's good, like, hey, what's good, no, everything's great. So that's a communication thing. So it's like, if I say what's good, and then somebody says nothing, what's good with you? Nonverbal communication. Pick up on the energy he's giving to you. It's like, well, something happened here, because I said what's good, and he's all of a sudden mad. So it's up to you to be able to understand where the breakdown happened. So if you're not good at communicating, you're not going to be confident enough to go in there and find out where the miscommunication happened. Because what's going to happen is, if you're not good at communicating, you're going to go in there, try to find out, and then you're gonna go down a rabbit hole, and then you lost the thing is no longer the thing. Now you're arguing about nothing that has nothing to do with anything,
Mhm.
because somebody just either is not smart enough, or they don't have the communication skills. So communication is key. Even when it comes to fighting, when you have to communicate between your coach and the fighter, or communication between the fighters. They have little subtleties. People's facial expressions, movements, or repetitive patterns. That's all communication. So if you should be well versed across all that spectrums of communication, everything. And it's not easy, but it's super important,
Mhm.
because the better you're able to communicate, and the better you're able to understand people, because then you're able to identify certain biases, certain ignorances, and you're able to communicate that with other people. You're able to communicate to them, hey, that was not my intention. For me, this means X. What does it mean for you? but you can't do that if you're not, well versed in communication.
Or okay, awesome answer. And let's see. In terms of past, we covered some of that. Future asked you as well for current endeavors. The real world. Any other campuses you're planning on getting into within the real world?
Yeah, so I want to dive a little further into copywriting because I know a little bit. Obviously, when you're communicating, you just understand you have to bridge the gap between what the reader is, where the reader is, and where you want them to be. Like I understand storytelling. I understand the basic, the baseline of it. But there, like anything, there's little intricacies that I don't know. I'm not privy to. The more you know, the more you know you don't know. So copywriting is also very important. Everything that online now is everyone reads, right? So if I have a few moments, I have a few lines to really capture their attention. And also that's implemented across visual, because copywriting is also visual. So everything I'm learning with CC and AI, I if I don't know copywriting fully, or at least enough to be able to convey be able to fully use this skill that I have here of CCAI, the copywriting is going to be that perfect bridge. Sorry.
Mhm. Okay, awesome.
And also because I'm in finance and because I have experience in it, is going to be all the trading, crypto and regular stocks.
Mhm. Nice, nice, nice. So, considering again your trajectory, I look forward to doing a follow up with you in future to see how everything is progressing for you. I see great things ahead. So, yeah, that's awesome to hear your story, how you've overcome the hardships, and how well you're doing now with everything considered. I wouldn't even be able to tell that that's your past. So, yeah, you've done
Yeah,
very well with that, with overcoming that.
yeah. When you go, it's true. And I'm sure you spent time with Andrew and you heard his life story and everything. People who've come from who've faced adversity in life and who've gone through violence, they're the ones who want the peace. That's really what I want. I want true, genuine peace across everything, and that comes through being stoic, being able to reflect on all the stuff that happened, being able to actually analyze what was my fault, what was out of my control. Because that's the other thing. When we're stuck in our own heads, and we go through life and we go through all these struggles, we are in our own heads. So we believe and don't believe the stuff that we're telling ourselves. And if we don't have enough communication, we're unable to get somebody else's point of view. We're going to be defensive about everybody's point of view because we're in our own heads. Make a long story short, is that all of the trials and tribulations, all the trauma, all the violence, all the abuse, it primes you. It truly does prime you for when an opportunity arises, and then you have people who have gone through like similar lifestyles, be able to see, okay, I was right in being resilient, and I was right not to fall into the trap of what everyone else is saying. And sometimes it feels like you're screaming to the void. It really does, because like when everyone's reality is the same, including your own, and you're the one saying, "Hey guys, this is not the way," and with longer hair, straight hair, friendly, and everyone else is real ghetto and hood and gangsters. Like, nah, bro, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. They out to get us. Nah, bro, it's BX for life. It's killer be killer. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't have to be that way, does it? At some point, aren't we just aren't we, we're keeping the cycle going? Why not we try something different? We tried this for a long time. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. And then the older you get, and then thankfully with the internet, you have more exposure, and it's also how you use the internet, obviously. But with the internet, you have the opportunity to see other cultures, rapidly, and see how other people are operating. And then if it's up to you, it's up to you to really take the onus of your own life and see, like, hey, all that stuff was all nonsense. Other people's opinions, the fact that they jumped me because I'm chubby, or they made fun of me because I'm light skinned, or because I speak white. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. It's their own insecurities. You keep that. I'm gonna keep coming. I'm gonna do my thing, and then I'll come back to help you. Because right now, this is too much.
Hmm. Interesting. Again, thank you for sharing that. Some interesting stories you have, which again is proof of an eclectic life.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
now,
you'll heal more eventually.
yeah.
Once I make it, whatever you want to
Yep.
call make it, and then I get to the war room, and then we're all chatting
Mhm.
around, chit chatting and talking about life. You'll
Cool,
find out
man.
more. And also when you see me in the UFC, I'll be giving the same speeches.
Sounds good. I love that. All right. And yeah, Ozzy, to wrap everything up, for people who are unsure about joining the real world, because what if it's a scam, right? What advice would you have to them?
If first off, let's address that scam. If you're scared of losing $49 on a scam one time, because it's month to month, right? And it's clear. It's month to month. Anytime you want to cancel, just okay, I'm done. If you're unwilling to lose $49 on a scam, but you're gonna go out and spend $150 on a weekend to black out, then what are you doing? That's the people who think that's a scam, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen online in the comments. It's always somebody who is not trying their hardest. You can tell, or their lifestyle is not indicative of something that's gonna propel them in life. And then if you really go down the rabbit hole of their comments and stuff, it's all hateful. It's all negative. It's all, but they. It's, man. Listen, $49 for potentially, think about that, for potentially cheat, quote unquote, cheat codes on how to effectively start and scale and grow your business. I mean, for $49 one-time payment that you can cancel, I think it's okay. I think your bank account can handle the $49. If you can't handle the $49, then you should get in the real world and learn all these modern wealth growth, creating methods, and then just try it, because you've tried everything else up to this point and it's not working. Clearly, if you're commenting, but what if it's a scam? It's month to month. You can lose 40 if it's a scam. If right, because again, you have to think about this. Everything is unknown in life. You don't know if you're gonna make it to tomorrow, but you're still you. Everyone walks around thinking like, well, I'm gonna be alive. They're conducting their lives in such a manner that's like, well, I'm fine. I have tomorrow. I have tomorrow. I have tomorrow. Do you? Do you really have tomorrow? Nothing is guaranteed. So take a gamble for once in your life. Take a gamble on your future, because that's what you're gambling $49 on. It's your future and your legacy and the impact that you're able to contribute to society.
Hmm. Love that. Love your answer, Ozzy. Okay. And if people want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
So on Instagram, you can hit me up at Oz the Panda. That's Oz, O-Z, the T-H-E, Panda, P-A-N-D-A. And the reason is Oz the Panda is because I used to be really fat. I'm still fat, but I'm working my way down to 195 pounds. So stay tuned for that. Uh, Kung Fu Panda. I'm a big guy that can move around, kick really high, really fast, and has good cardio. So I I stuck with Oz the Panda.
Nice.
So you can catch me on Instagram on Oz the Panda. I recently started a financial literacy and consulting Instagram page company, and that's AI Finance by Oz. It says AI, Artificial Intelligence, Finance, Finance, by Oz, Byoz. And I also have a landing page that you can go to where you can see the services I offered, and you can schedule a free consultation for my business consulting and accounting and bookkeeping. We got you covered, and that's going to be oztheaccountant.carrd. I think it's .co.
Mhm. I will add all of those to the description of the video. So even if that final one, the bit I'm sure about, just check description. It will be the easy.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ozzy, we'll do a follow up in future, as I said. So just let me know
Yes, sir.
once things have progressed. I look forward to that to see
Yes,
just
sir.
how well you're doing in that time.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. It was very nice talking to you. And man, it's a completely surprise interview, because I was not expecting that at all. You hit me up, say, "Hey, congratulations on that win." I was like, "Oh, this is nice."
Yep. I'm doing my own warm mode at the moment, doing a minimum 3 interviews a day, and making
Okay.
sure this month I continue with at least 3 interviews every day. Because there's so many
How
to
many?
get
How
through, but
many
it's also a self-imposed challenge. I just wanted something to
to
yeah.
challenge it? And that's the other thing. to
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
what I like about the real world and everything is it gives you something to challenge yourself on. And more, too many people in this world right now are not
Mhm.
challenging themselves enough. They're just going through life, just very morose, just very just complacent, and just, oh, well, everything's cool. Everything's cool. Everything is not cool. Everything is not cool. If you're not challenging yourself, you're denying one of the biggest things. Is like us as Homo sapiens, we're the top. We are the top of the food chain. We're sapiens. We gain wisdom, we gain consciousness, and we started challenging ourselves and exploring. It's not easy, but it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling. And then as a byproduct of overcoming those challenges, you start rewiring your brain and start having more confidence and start having confidence in yourself, loving yourself. All this not therapy nonsense that people try. Well, what happened in your past, and what's how does that make you feel? And then, but they're not doing anything effective. They're not. Hey, wake up today, set a goal list for the day, and try to tackle them off. And then every day you're gonna get a little bit closer. And if you don't successfully tackle those goals for the day, sure, it's considered a failure and you're a loser, whatever. But tomorrow you have another chance to do better. And then those little bit of incremental better. When you look back, your baseline is all of a sudden at the ceiling where it was way in the basement. Your baseline becomes somebody else's maximum because you're challenging yourself and overcoming little adversities along the way. And
Mhm.
people are going through those adversities and challenges every day, but they're not reflecting on it. They're not surrounding themselves with people who are pointing out the shit that they're overcoming. So either make yourself concrete challenges and overcome them, or surround yourself with people who are at least willing to acknowledge the challenges that you have gone through, so that way you feel better about yourselves. Because maybe you haven't figured out how to really analyze and reflect, which is fine. But just step out of yourself and find people who can help you really analyze and reflect and get better and talk about what really matters.
Mhm. Good note to end on.
All
All right. All right. So yeah, thank you, Ozzy, and
right,
until
man.
next
Take
time.
care.